Next, submission. I like this one.
Okay.
Alex, what do you think about balancing eating well and enjoying food?
Say it one more time.
What do you think about balancing eating well and enjoying food? So I think the person who submitted this would love to know our thoughts on, hey, what does that look like practically? Not conceptually, practically.
For me, it's the 80-20 principle. I write about this in the HOLO State. I mean, technically, we're balancing nourishment and pleasure.
Pause. Listeners, the HOLO State is Alex's first book. If you've never heard of it or didn't know, Alex has written 2 books. He's a 2-book author. That's how I'm going to start referring to you. My friend, 2-book author, Alex. But you can find it on Amazon or the HOLO Health website. Go ahead. The HOLO State, you write about the 80-20 principle.
Yeah, the 80-20 principle, which gives me practical clarity on the balance between nourishment and pleasure, because truth is rarely found in any domain on either ends of the spectrum. Truth is always found in the middle of the spectrum somewhere. And research shows that the 80-20 principle is both practical and sustainable. That if we only go to nourishment, there's one day we're going to binge and bottom out, because we are going to have a cinnamon roll on Christmas morning one day. Okay, or at least I am. But if we only eat the pleasure side, we're going to join the 70% of Americans that are classified as overweight or obese. So we need to have that balance, where I think for me personally, and just the general recommendation is 80-20, 4 out of every 5 meals. But for you, I would say practically define your balance, define your number. Yeah. Maybe it's 85-15, maybe it's 90-10. And honestly, when it comes down to that, if that's 90%, then I look at my week and say, okay, I have 21 meals. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner per day times 7 is 21. What's 90% of 21? Maybe 19 out of 21, or 80% is 17 out of 21. That is very, very practical how you balance that. So I always come down to, what's the win? Well, the win is clarity here on that balance. Okay, then for me, it's going to be 80-20. How do I determine 80-20, 90-10, 70-30, whatever that is? Well, it depends on what season you're in. I mean, for me, I know that the volume of my training right now is lower just with greater life demand. So then I need to be more intentional about the nourishment side versus the pleasure side. So I'm actually dialing my nutrition a little bit more at about 85-90 right now, because I know higher volume demand of exercise can give me a little wiggle room. So I kind of go down to 80-20. So it just depends on what season you're in. The best way I can answer it.
I think that's a great response. The one thing I want to pull out what you said, and then I'll share my response based on this, is you have to define the terms for yourself. You have to figure out what matters to you, what season of life that you are in, and what it looks like practically to balance. And so I think, we talk about the 80-20 principle. It's great. Love that you gave the meal, like the meal approach. Hey, if you've got 21 meals, 80% of that's going to be 17. But you've got to determine that. I think people are like, oh, I'm going to pursue the 80-20 method. And it's like, at the end of the week, they're like, I didn't do a good job of the 80-20 method. Right. I did the 50-50 method. And you have to put structure around that principle if you want it to be something that actually helps you look better and feel better from a food perspective, to balance the nourishment and the pleasure. For myself, go ahead. You look like you want to say something.
Well, I was going to say that the other way that I practically do this, and also coach people through this, is whatever area that they want to pursue the pleasure side in, that we're just going to put parameters around that. So whether maybe it's not meals like 17 out of 21, maybe it's sweets, or maybe it's Cokes, or maybe it's desserts at the end of the day. Okay, and rather doing one every single night, we're just going to do 3 a week. And you pick your nights a week, but you basically come down and be like, okay, I know for me, I'm eating too many cinnamon rolls or Oreos at night when the kids go to bed, and that is my crux. Okay, then rather than every single night, let's not completely eliminate, because true health has margin. Let's just pick 3 or 4 nights a week, and then we'll kind of test and retest.
Yeah, great plug. What I was saying for myself, practically what that looks like is pretty much on Sunday, Aaron and I have a conversation about what do the week's dinners look like. And at that point, I look at the calendar and I assess what our schedule looks like. And I personally enjoy getting my 20% when I'm with people, either at an event or eating out. And here's why. One, because that removes some of the confusion or maybe added stress that could be there because I don't control that food environment. A lot of people get really stressed out when it comes to social events, parties, group dinners, eating out because they don't control that food environment. So the question is, hey, how do I balance eating well in that environment? Well, we can talk about that. That's actually one of the questions that got submitted for us to share our thoughts on. But that's practically how I apply that. Now, I don't always eat out and eat more pleasurable foods. I still look to get nourishment, especially if the beginning part of my day was a little bit different. So there's some variables in there, but for a broad stroke, how do I balance eating well? If I'm eating breakfast or a meal at home, it's going to be really focused on nourishment. And then if I'm eating out or going to a social event or a group dinner or whatnot, then I'm not going to put this heavy expectation on myself to try to only eat this perfectly clean, nutrient dense meal, because it's just not fun and I'm not really present. And that's not the healthy behavior, is not making sure that's buttoned up. It's being where I am and being present to the relationships or the conversation or the community that I'm with. So that's the only thing I'd add in there.
Let's just continue to riff here, because one of the keystone beliefs here at HOLO Health is that health is more than physical, right? It's holistic. Your nutrition is also more than physical. That if I turn down grandma's cookies every Christmas Eve, there's going to be a relational disconnect because I'm pursuing my physical health at the sacrifice of my relational health. You hit it so well. And I remember, this is something I do too, I just didn't come to my mind, is that I save a lot of my pleasurable foods, a lot of my desserts for social outings, because I know I'm going to connect so much more. When our small group just went to Marie's bakery and I had a cannoli and a bite of everyone else's dessert, that it was so fun and so socially and relationally improving, that I didn't put that, like you said, put that pressure on myself to either maintain this rigid diet or whatever. So remembering that food is more than physical as well, that it can actually enhance our mental, emotional, relational situation and circumstance, is huge.
It honestly leads to good conversation too, because a lot of people are like, "How you eating that?" and you look like that,
Yes,
and then you get to have a conversation. And again, this is why we steward our health well, and why we choose to pursue true health, God's design, because then you get to have a conversation about why you pursue true health. It's not, oh, I work my tail off in the gym, so I earned this. One, that's never a thought that should go through. If it does, call us, because we'll just unpack that. But it's that, oh, I get to share, hey, I'm eating these foods right now because this is the healthy decision. And then they're like,
right.
Huh? And then you get to talk about it, right? And then
Like, let's unpack it.
Right. Ultimately, what's going to happen is you get pointed back to Jesus, right? We get to point it back to Jesus on why we're doing this. So again, this is why we pursue a true healthy life. It's so cool. We could spend forever on this. But the next submission to the "What do you think about" segment, Alex, and it piggybacks super perfectly here. Super perfectly. Anyways, it piggybacks well off of what we just talked about, is, hey, how do you eat well out? If you're going out to a restaurant, practically, how do you eat well? Here's what I would share, and then I'll let you take the final thoughts on it. Is, if you want to go out and eat more nourishing foods, here's the 3 things that I would tell you. 3 things. I'm going to give you 3. Tune in. Listen up. First thing, look at the menu before you go. Think about, if you're going into some environment and you don't really know what's going on, the decisions that are, and the thoughts that are going to be running through your mind are going to be harder to decide and make a predetermined decision. You can do that by looking at the menu beforehand. Okay. The second thing is going to be choose color. Okay. I like to try to have as much color on my plate as possible. And when I say color, I mean fruits and veggies, proteins. You've got a ton of different options on the plate. Okay. Not just going for If you're trying to eat a cleaner meal, not just going for the pasta, nothing wrong with the pasta, but we're talking about a nutrient dense meal. And the third thing is going to be to try to have a protein source on every meal. Okay. Those are three things. I'll repeat them again. Number one, look at the menu before you go. Pre-plan and help yourself by making a decision before you get to the restaurant. Second is going to be add color. Focus on having color. That doesn't just mean get a salad. That means try to have fruits, veggies, whole grain starches, things that add color, proteins that add color to the plate. Third thing, base your meal around a protein source. Alex.
I'm adding very minimally to that. The only caveat I'm thinking through is, am I picking this restaurant or is this restaurant getting picked for me? Like, am I getting
Sure.
invited to this place? Then, okay, I have a little bit more limitations, but if I get to pick where I'm eating out, I mean, what you said, like that predetermined action, like I'm a big fan of pre-choice choices. Like you can solve 80% of the battle before you even walk in. A, deciding what restaurant you go to, and B, looking at the menu beforehand. So 80% of the battle is already solved before that. And I always, whether I'm making food at home or eating out, base what I'm going to eat around my protein, because the American diet is so high in carbs and fats and minimal protein that if we're not intentional, we're not going to get that protein. So I'm looking for high quality protein, like you said, right away. And then I'm going to base the rest of my meal pretty much around the plate method, around half my plate around colorful veggies. And then the other part, I'm going to either have a starch or sweet potato fries or something with margin. So you nailed that.
3 more submissions that we'll go through, and then we're going to dive into the 3 and 30 because you don't want to miss that content.
Come on.
This one, we're going to hit this one quick. What are some good high protein snacks? I'll give my 3 favorites.
They're probably going to be my 3, honestly.
No, they won't. They won't. Guarantee you they won't.
Okay.
The first one is a nice big old bowl of Greek yogurt.
Come on, we're 1 for 1.
With some sort of fruit and granola.
Yep.
I like the protein-based granola. There are carbohydrates in the protein-based granola, but it does have protein as well. So I'm probably getting about 25 grams-ish in that snack. Second snack. Ready? Number 2. Deli meat and cheese, baby. It don't get any easier than some fresh boar's head from the store and some fresh cheese. Roll that boy up. Boom. Real easy. You talk about real easy? Real easy.
What cheese, what meat? What's your go-to?
Oh, thank you for asking. So boar's head turkey.
Turkey?
Ooh. Yeah, and then a boar's head London broil from Kroger. Ooh,
Interesting.
If you've never had that London broil, you need to go get you some. If you're not familiar, that's a fancy way of saying roast beef, but it's way better. Let me
Trevor,
tell you.
your Southern Georgia showing. You might want to tuck that back in.
We don't hide who we are in a truly healthy life. Number 3 of the cheese is probably just provolone, or Aaron likes pepper jack, so I'll do pepper jack too.
I like Aaron.
Number 3.
I like pepper jack.
Number 3. This is just a super easy one for me because I need something quick, grab and go. Not that the other 2 aren't really quick grab and go, but this is like, man, need it, grab it, go. It's just a Fairlife protein shake from Costco. They sell them at other places, but it's a Fairlife shake. It's not a whey shake. It's a Fairlife shake that you can get about 30 grams of protein in it. Super easy, $1.50 calories. Nutrient dense, just packed full of protein. Those are my 3.
Gosh, if someone could sponsor me, it'd be Fairlife. If you could just sponsor me with your protein chocolate milk, I would
It's
retire.
so good. I
don't have enough to retire, but I would somehow find a way to do it.
Maybe we just bring it up every episode and then just see what happens.
Mine, I don't buy it frequently, but it's such a good one. I do it a lot on road trips and travels. Beef jerky.
Yeah.
You can buy it at a gas station, or you can make your own, or you can just get a big old pack from Costco.
Bro, no one's making their own beef jerky. Let's be honest. No one listening to this podcast is making their own beef jerky.
That's my dad's goal, to make my own beef jerky.
You can do it. You look like you make your own beef jerky.
I don't know how to take that.
You're welcome.
I don't do this, but Hannah does this, is she does like cottage cheese with maybe a little bit of peanut butter or a little bit of like PB2. I'm not a big cottage cheese fan, but there is protein in that. Um, I mean, obviously a protein bar is super simple, but we want to try to eliminate as many processed foods as we can. And that's going to be highly processed. There's higher quality protein bars. I probably average one protein bar and one protein shake a day just because my protein demands are a little bit higher. But dude, I'm the exact same way. I go with the honey cut ham deli meats from Publix or Kroger. So I'll just literally just eat the ham. And my go-to with the ham is when don't want a meal, but I'm a little hungrier than just a light snack, is I'll cut up some peppers, like a red or orange pepper, put a ham around it, and then I'll put a little bit of hummus on it, and that is like my little meal there. So, trying to think of any other high protein snacks, but honestly, rather than like snacks, I'll literally keep like chicken or turkey or steak or shrimp that's already cooked in the fridge. So it doesn't have to be a snack. I can just bring out that protein source and just put it on my side with the snack. So I'm getting that protein in it. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a snack or like these quinoa protein chips that are, it's like, no, like I just have already ready to go chicken or already ready to go shrimp or already ready to go turkey or ham in my fridge, so I can pull it out at any time or pack on my lunch.
I think that's a good wrap on this. Here's what I would end this piece specifically with. Be aware of what actually is in products that say they're a protein-based product, because there's a lot of products that companies that realize, oh, people want protein, so if we just slap protein on the label to market it, then people are going to buy it, and they will buy it. But you need to, not need to, we would encourage you to prioritize whole, clean, real foods, nutrient-dense protein sources over the processed foods, because a lot of these processed foods, you go look at the back nutrition label, there's a ton of added sugar, there's a ton of words in the ingredients that you can't even pronounce, and that's not what we have to eliminate, but what we're trying to not include as much of. Again, 80-20.